Hello, everybody. How you doing? It's super great to be here, and I trust everybody's doing pretty well. Welcome to another episode of the Connect. I am absolutely excited to be here. Quite a lot going on, and I really just want to, um, you know, just want to wish you a happy Sunday. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us right now. Thank you for being with us. I trust that you've had a great week. So we've just come a full, um, 1 week since we had our episode, since we had our anniversary episode, and I want to thank everybody that joined in on that episode, celebrating 6 years of the Connect, and how amazing it has been the journey for the 6 years. And so we're starting a brand new chapter. All right, I'm checking full stuff. All right, so we're starting a brand new chapter today. We're beginning. This is the first episode of the seventh year, if you understand how these numbers work, and it's been super amazing. So, a bit of check on a couple of things. First of all, again, a big thank you to everybody who's been a part of our journey over the past 6 years, and everybody that joined in the anniversary episode last week. It was also great to have my brother Remy Daniels also joining as well, and just share an amazing time, an amazing moment on the Connect with me as well. Today we're going to be touching on something brand new, and it's important that we understand that because what we have and what I'm going to be sharing with you today is something that is so powerful. I am literally excited by how much, and I say this with all sense of responsibility. I'm literally excited by how much that we have to be able to deploy, how much that this episode. All right, okay, so I'm doing the check on stuff. Okay, so by how much this episode um, will go. Give me a second to do a spot check. I'm checking on all the various devices to be sure that we're good. All right, and then we will be back. All right. Okay, so where we at that posted, and I'm saying that this episode is one episode that you don't want to miss. I'm pretty excited about it because of the nature of what I will be sharing today. All right, what I'll be sharing today. Now, this episode is tagged, or the series, it's going to be a three-part series running all through the month of August. And in this three-part series, I'm going to be delving into an area that I'm particularly excited about. This episode is tagged From Your Here to Your There. All right. Or if you like, between your here and your there, but it's actually from your here to your there. And it's something that's profound. I started talking about this about maybe a decade ago. But you know how you have a message that you've carried for a while, but the fine tuning comes at a particular time because it's now for a season and for a particular time. And it's been it's been pronounced. It's been amazing. Just thinking through all of that, and all that process. You have something that you've had on your mind, and then over time, it's just been there. You've been talking about it, teaching on it. Is there? Then there comes a time that there's a concentrated or accelerated force that's on it, and every time you have that kind of force, you know that there's somebody somewhere at that point in time that needs to hear the message. All right, so we're talking about from your here to your there, the three-part series that we're having, and finding the courage, having the courage to begin again and again, the courage to begin it again and again. And let me even start this way, that first of all, this is not the conventional kind of series that you've had. Number one. Number two is that I need you to open up your mind. I need you to set aside everything that you think you know, and I need you ready to receive what you're about to hear for the next few days. Number three is that this is going to be so hands-on and very immersive that you're going to be absolutely blown away by the degree of openness that will require of you to be able to learn the things, some very deep things that I'll be sharing with you. All right. So From your here to your there, the courage to begin again. And you must understand is first of all, wherever it is that you are, will represent you there. Wherever it is that you desire to be, or whatever it is that you're called to be. And I always say that, look, there's a difference between where you desire to be and where you are supposed to be. My prayer is that where you desire to be is in line, is in alignment with where you're supposed to be. Now that would be really amazing, right? Because once you're able to do that, then you know you're headed in the right direction. So, with that understanding, the first thing I want to say to us is that your here is not a final destination. Wherever it is that you are, it can be your final destination. All right. And getting from your here to your there, now we've defined what here is and we've defined what there is, requires a degree and a certain degree of courage. A courage to be able to execute, a courage to be able to move ahead, a courage to be able to, in many regards, be able to try again, a courage to be able to grow, a courage to be able to give it another attempt, a courage to be able to push a little bit harder than you have been pushing it, the courage to be able to do a little bit more than you have been doing. But here's my first line of thoughts or contemplation. If going from, and it is true that going from here to here there will require significant growth on your part. But I have a question to ask, and the question is this: do you really want to grow? Or do you think that you should grow? Do you really want to grow? Or do you think that you should grow? So you could think that you should grow because everybody expects you to grow, because your competitors expect you, your market, your stakeholders expect you to grow, your family expects you to grow, society expects you to grow, your church, your faith expects you to grow, your partner, spouse, wife, husband expects you to grow. Everybody around you, your partners, your colleagues expect you to grow, and so you feel you should grow. Or do you really want to grow? Do you really want to grow? And I'm not just asking a rhetoric question. I'm really asking a very serious question. Do you really want to grow? Because the difference between someone that wants something, the truth of the matter is, I want you to grow, but I want you to want that growth even more than I want you to grow. I want you to want growth even more than society wants you to grow. I want you to want growth even more than your family wants you to grow. I want you to understand the why you need to grow even much more than who wants you to grow. Because, and many times, hold on a second, I'm speaking to you from my heart, right? Many times, your understanding why you need to grow is hinged on who needs you to grow. Now, that's different from who wants you to grow. Who needs you to grow? You know, need is obviously more important in the hierarchy of things, more important than want. So, who needs you to grow is more important than who wants you to grow. Note that. That's on one side. All right. So I don't lose my track. Like I said, it's a very deep session, and we're going to be x-raying quite a number of things. Number two, okay, so even if you really want to grow, why do you want to grow? Why why do you why do you want to grow? And I need you, right? I need you to ask that question of yourself. Why do you want to grow? Now, this is very important because what also your mind, and perhaps another question I could ask you is, what does growing, what do you think growing looks like? So you have it here, you have it there, and permit me, I know I started earlier when I started asking you, okay, do you know the difference between where you want to go to, or what your there looks like, and what your there should be? And I hope that the variation between what you want your there to be and what your there needs to be, I hope is minimal. Right. So if that be the case, and it is the case, what does growth look like to you? What do you think growth feels like to you? And I want you to think very deeply about these questions I'm sharing with you. I want you to think very, very, very deeply about them. I want you to not just to, not they're not rhetoric questions. I want you to listen to these questions with the intent of responding, meaning that whilst you may not physically respond to me, you could write it down and respond to yourself. Number one, do you really want to grow? Do you really want to grow? Or do you just think you should grow? Because if the motivating factor for your growth is domiciled in other people rather than domiciled in you, there's going to be a bit of a challenge with that growth. Because growth requires a push from within to without. And if there isn't a push within, there will be a conformation to the circumstances and situations without that naturally stampede growth, limit growth. In other words, the weed of life or the weeds of life will choke out the seed of your growth. In other words, the seed of your imagination. And it's very impossible to desire growth to a level without to having growth at a certain level without first desiring that growth. Because embedded in the desire of that growth is the imagination that you have. And guess what? The future is birthed via your imagination, not your experience. Growth, as I remember it last, is in your future and not in your past. So many times, even though experiences are critical, and I'll be one of those that will tell you that experiences are not they're not determinants of what the future is, but they have indicators in them that can be learned from, gleaned from, that are pivotal and necessary to your experience in the future. Now, having said that, please understand with me, and I need you to get this and get this right. Understand with me that your experiences are not a critical or important, all that's important factor to the fulfillment of your vision. What you require are number one, lessons, all importantly, number two, the imagination of your mind and what that future represents. You can't have a growth that you don't desire. You can't, no, so I'll say it again. You can't have a growth that you don't desire. Every massive thing that I've ever done in my life, listen to me, every significant thing that I've ever done in my life was hinged primarily, first of all, by the spark of a desire in my heart. Whether you call it a wish, whether you call it a just a thought or an idea, whatever it is that you call it, please understand that it started from a little spark in my heart, a little desire. And I heard many years ago from my father in faith that I respect immensely, Pastor Paul Adefarasi, and he said, "Listen, if you've had that desire in your heart, it's proof positive that God has made it available. It was not just a mere wish. It was not just a mere move of chemical. It was an indicator to that. Prepare yourself towards seeing it means you can have it. So there can't be significant growth with imagination. Imagination will birth desire because the fuel of pursuit is desire, or the fuel of desire. I mean, the evidence of desire is the fuel of pursuit. So that you can't have growth in significant measure without first of all having an imagination of what that future, what that growth looks like, what that growth smells like, what that growth tastes like. So I ask again, very importantly, What does growth look like to you? What does growth look like to you? And I know that for a lot of people, that's a question you have not answered in a very long time. But subconsciously, you pray to grow, you desire to grow, you want to grow. You talk about, maybe consciously or subconsciously, you talk about growing. It's you expect to grow. You expect to grow. But what does that growth look like? What's the end tail, the end journey of that growth? The visioning, what does it look like? Is it something that you desired? Is it something that you have imagined? Look, listen, the power of imagination is that everything in your future rests on the foundation of your imagination. So it doesn't matter how far that you've come. Yes, of course, experience will enable you to imagine easier. But then again, even if you haven't had certain experiences, would you limit yourself from being able to expand the boundaries of your mind and imagine a future that is worth going towards, a future that is treasurable, a future that drives you, a future that motivates you, a future that stretches you, a future that is all of everything that you need to represent what you will consider as having lived a fulfilled and successful life. Whether, and I'm not just talking to you as an individual, I'm talking of your businesses. I mean, what does winning look like? I walked into an organization. I remember having a conversation with a couple of friends, and I walked into an organization where I was doing a strategy session for them, and you had C-suite executives and the board members were there. So we're talking about a real high caliber level of people for a really major organization in the banking sector in Nigeria. And then everybody was right there. And we got into the room, started having conversations. And then I said to them, what does winning look like? What does winning look like? When would you say, what does the bank has done well at the end of this financial year? What does it look like to you, the chairman? What does it look like to you, the managing director? What does it look like to you, dear executive director? What does it look like to you, dear, regional head? What does it look like to everybody that was in that room? And it's amazing how, even though you might have been an organization for a while and you've been solid for a while, the idea of exactly when it looks may not be the same to everyone. That's why those that have leadership have an all important duty to be able to communicate the vision that they have to everybody. Because unless there's a unity of vision or a unified vision, there's going to be a lot of well intentioned but very diverse approach to achieving what people want to be. And if my idea of what does us well is different from your idea of what does us well, then we're not going to be pursuing, number one, the same things, or we're not going to be pursuing the same things with the same energy. Either way, however well intentioned that we are, we're going to find out that we are not connecting at the right level, we're not delivering at the right level, we're not pushing at the right level. So it's not a function of our competence, it's not a function of our capacity, it's a function of the unification of our visioning and our understanding of what good success looks like. So let me ask again, do you really want to grow, or do you think you should grow? When you really want to grow, it means there's something within you that's connected that says, I need to grow. And everything around you is growth centric, is growth aligned, and is growth driven. When you think you should grow, it's because there's an expectation that you want to meet. And usually, this expectation is without you, is of stakeholders, well intentioned, yes, is of employees, well intentioned, yes, is of critical partners, maybe your spouse, maybe your board members, maybe your husband, maybe your wife, maybe your colleagues, whatever it is, private, individual, corporate, or personal, it doesn't matter. Um, all however well intentioned. So you have all of that, and you are just trying to meet up with the expectations of those without you to grow. But let me say this again. You can't have true growth unless true growth that you will deliver unless you want that growth. So you may go through the motions. You may go through the motions of doing the right things, getting the right things done. You may get on, whatever it is, apply whatever strategy, come up with whatever. But there's something that differentiates, that acts as a differentiator between a man that wants to grow and a man that is trying to grow because others want him to grow. We're still talking about from your here to your there. We're still talking about that. We're here because your here to your there will require growth. That's why you see me starting from the points of growth. We have this over the next beyond today, two more episodes, and I'm going to spend 3 Sundays treating this matter. So you don't want to miss it. You want to ensure that you engage. You want to get your friends and your kids and kin, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube, to be an absolute part of it, because this will alternate. It will significantly shift your mindset about different things. So that's very important. The concept of growth. So now let's talk about your here and your there. Look, everybody's somewhere right now. Everybody's somewhere right now. It doesn't matter what you do, what you have, what you don't have. It doesn't matter who you're with or who you're not with. It doesn't matter what you've gone through or what you've not gone through. Everybody is somewhere right now. So the question is, what is your there? Where are you really? And I want everybody to think about it. Again, like I said, I'm not asking you rhetoric questions. I'm asking you questions I want you to go and think about. I want you to consider, and I want you to begin to run around in your mind on where are you really. And I think that's a very important question because when you think about it, it was the first question that God asked of humanity. Remember in the book of Genesis, whilst they were in the garden, and then the unthinkable thing had happened. All right, the fruit had been eaten, and then they realized they were naked, and they went around trying to fix themselves when they had no business having anything to fix. Yeah, but you know the story. And then the first question that God asked to man was not, "What did you do?" Was not, "What didn't you do?" Was not, "How could you?" The first question that God asked the man is, "Where are you?" Now, this is so important. This is so important because embedded in that question, "Where are you?" is a myriad of other questions, a plethora of other questions. Where are you? Um, because it's also important, and I want to say this very quickly. It's also very important that it's also very important that when you seek to know where someone is, you're doing it for the reason of meeting them where they are. So that if someone has even done, and I'm learning this also, by the way, if someone has done perhaps the most unthinkable thing, you first want to understand what informed or what sponsored they are doing the unthinkable thing first before handing out judgment to them because you may adjudge are wrong or you may misjudge if you don't understand what it is that had first brought them, enabled them, limited them, skewed them in the position of even getting that thing done in the first place. So when we say where are you, the question is not so that I can kill you where you are. The question is so I can meet you where you are. Note that it's not to it's not to find where to kill you by harsh words, wrong behavior, judgmental attitude or approaches. It's to meet you where you are. Because look, there's a problem. You've done something. Something has happened. The only way we're going to be able to fix this is to meet you where you are. So Think about this. The first question when we talk about here is, where really are you? Where really are you? Because listen, life is relational. Growth is relational. Growth is a positive differential between where you are and where you were. In other words, between your here and your there. And if growth is a positive differential or a positive variation between your here and your there, then it means that it's the relationship that you have between your here and your there that determines whether you are regressing or you're progressing. In other words, are you having a loss or a growth? So when I ask you the question, where are you? I am really saying to you, what has where you are right now taught you? I'm really saying to you or asking you, what is working right now where you are? I am saying to you, or I'm asking you, what is no longer working right now where you are? I am saying to you, what do you need to stop pretending about? What do you need to be absolutely upfront and open about? And I'm asking you, what have you outgrown? That is, alongside with many other questions, represents the question, where are you? So I ask you right now, where are you? And I need you to please engage me in the comment section wherever it is that you're joining me for LinkedIn, YouTube. Just go ahead and just type your thoughts. I want active participation. This is usually how we do this. So get on the comment section or whatever platform that you are, Facebook, YouTube. Let's have active participation. I want you sharing your thoughts real time with me. I want you processing what I'm saying real time. I want you countering if you have to counter. I want you seeking for clarification when you need. I'm only going to be responding to what I see. So there could be something so important in your mind that you want to share. And trust me, sometimes I could even break what I'm sharing to attend to you, and somebody somewhere else might be in absolute need. Hear me, absolute need of what that response is. So it's not just about you. Please go ahead in the comment section and just share your thoughts on the conversation thus far. All right, the conversation thus far. Just share your thoughts on the conversation thus far. It's so absolutely important. I'm going to be checking the chat section where you are. All right, where you are. So your hair is I mean, apart from the fact that yeah, it could be a physical location, it could be a mental location, it could be a financial location, it could be a positioning, it could be anything. But what it is not is a verdict. Your here is not a verdict. You haven't done well so far. That's not the end of your life. It's not a verdict. You made mistakes along the way. It's not a verdict. You are not as financially buoyant as you should be. You've made wrong investment choices. You have not been disciplined in the area of your finances. You have not you've not built the business in the way that you should. You've not had such a great structure. You've not been able to build systems in the way that you should. You've not appropriated resources the way that you should. It's all part of where you are, but it's not a verdict. You've not been a great father. You've not been a great husband. You've not been a great wife. It's not a verdict. It's just where you are. And a lot can happen and a lot should happen between your here and your there. But you cannot rightly remember, if you take the Casper framework into cognizance, you have clarity, you have alignment, you have strategy, you have planning, you have execution, and you have results. And the outcome of all of that is result. Now, let's bring this to this context. Without clarity, number one, of where you're going to, without clarity of where you are, you're here and you're there, then it will be very difficult. If I don't understand, if I can't meet you where you are, it's difficult to bring in the right kind of strategy, plan, and execution that will take you to your there into alignment when I don't exactly know what I'm bringing into alignment. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if I don't know where your here is, if you don't know where your here is, then you are not going to have a benchmark or a focal point that you are bringing into alignment. So, man, know thyself. You can lie to everybody, but you can't lie to yourself. Where are you? Where are you? And it's important that you understand this. Where are you? It's important that you get. It's important that you're thinking about. It's important that you're sitting down because that's where self-awareness kicks in. That's when you get to sit down and say to yourself that, my goodness, my God, my God, my God, I have to come to terms with the fact that, oh, I'm not doing so well here. I'm doing great here. And where are you is not a function of places you're not doing well in. You could also say, well, I'm doing amazingly here, but I'm not so strong yet. So, in other words, it's an assessment using whatever framework or tool that you have at your disposal. It's an assessment that is necessary to help you realize where you are and put you in a position where growth can begin to happen towards you're there. Did you get that? And I think it's so important. It's so important that we get that. It's so important to get that. Let me talk about you're there, and then we'll see how it goes, and then probably in the next by next week we'll be looking at how to be able to connect the dots from your here to your there. But now that you have an understanding of where your here is, let's talk about your there. Your there is, you know, your there is not a bigger version of your here I'll say that again so you hear me. Your there is not merely a bigger version of you're there. The way that my mentor Fela Durute puts it, that it's all that you can be that you have not yet become. I love that. I think I love saying it more. It's all that you can be, but you have not yet become. It's how high you can jump, but you have not yet gotten to. It's how far you can go, but you haven't yet attained. It is a future that you are willing to build, pursue, and become. Did you get that? It's a future that you are willing, a desirable future, desired strongly so, that you're willing. And what's the evidence? That you're willing to build, pursue with everything within you, and become it. That's the power of your there. It's a powerful destination, and it has a powerful distinction. And you need courage to move from your here to your there. Why is this important? Because vision will give you a destination, but courage gives you movement and momentum, which you need to multiply on the journey of going towards that destination. So your vision is critical, but the courage to execute on your vision is so critical. So critical. I mean, the Bible says that. Think about it now. The Bible says in Proverbs 29:18, Proverbs 29 verse 18, it speaks to the importance of vision, and that's very clear. But Philippians chapter 3, I think 13 and 14, captures the discipline of refusing to remain trapped by your yesterday. Guys, your experience is good, but what you need for tomorrow is your imagination. What you need for tomorrow is your imagination. And there's a whole lot, like I said, this is a series I'm particularly excited about. There's a whole lot that we're going to be dealing with in over this 3 Sundays that we have in the month of August remaining. And the conversation is going to get really, really deep. There's your here, there's your there. There's growth that will happen. There's a journey to get on top. But the clarity is required. You need a strategy, a plan. You need deliverables to execute on. But you need something that brings you into alignment. And the clarity of where your there is and the clarity of where your here is for you to be able to rightly, appropriately align. And alignment is absolutely essential to the experience that you have concerning your there. It's absolutely essential. And what powers all of this, as I said today, is you must understand that the growth that you need must be something that you earnestly desire. You earnestly desire that growth. You're saying to yourself that there's something in me that is burning to grow. Yes, others may want me to grow, and you will be in concert with them. You'll be in agreement with them, but you are not trying to grow because primarily someone expects you, someone without of you expects you to grow. Do you get the difference? And I hope that you do. I really, really hope that you do. I truly, truly hope that you do. I truly hope that you do. All right, truly hope that you do. So I'm going to be parking the bus today. It's not a full hour session, but this is the opener for the three-part series that we have from from your here to your there, finding the courage to begin again and again. And we're going to be talking about, down the line, what has stalled that movement, why there seems unattainable, unreachable, out of reach. We're going to be looking at the beginning to your experience, and everything you experience tells you not to bother. You're going to need much more than your experience to push ahead. You're going to need a significant level of courage. And we'll be talking about that by next Sunday, getting up again, getting it done. And this is especially for people who are honest with themselves, genuine enough with themselves to know that they failed many times. But that when they're starting again, they're not starting from zero, but starting from experience. But we'll talk about all of that. And I'll talking to you in very practical terms, even as I've done today, in very practical terms about how to be able to go from your here to your there. What is required for that to happen? How you need to be able to stay strong, stay grounded with the principle of anchorage and adaptability, and be able to last every storm. I truly, 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 I'm looking forward to sharing even more with you next week. But before I go, I have an announcement, very special announcement. For those of you that have been on the platforms, I announced a couple of while ago that we're going to have a masterclass, a virtual masterclass. Don't worry, it's not very expensive. All right, we're having all the details out. A very special masterclass that focuses on strategy, the use of tools, simply things that deliver productivity on a whole new level. And the follow up to that will also be a virtual mentorship session that will allow a one on one based on the schedule and the calendar that I will have with everybody who has participated. It's not a free event, it's a paid event, but it's also very heavily discounted. So I can assure you that the fee will be between just maybe 10,000 to 15,000. Because some of our partners are doing the subsidization, as you always usually know. Anything that comes with A, you already have corporate people that are coming in and are going to be providing that level of support. So we're going to be doing something between 10 to 15. We will let you know. The flyers will come out on or before Wednesday this week, and it's going to be tentatively either in the last week of August or the first week of September. You don't want to miss this. It's huge. You want to be a part of it. You want to get your colleagues to be a part of it. You want to send me a DM directly so I can give you a group discount for the numbers of people based also on the numbers of people that will be joining us. If you're an individual, you want part of it. It's going to be huge, it's going to be massive. I am doing some very dangerous things between now and the end of the year. All right, the very dangerous things. We're looking at at the calendar. We're looking at booking speaking engagements, teaching engagements, strategy sessions. Literally, all just locked down every other weekend of the year. And also, TADIS 2026. I can't wait to be in New York in the month of October 3rd, speaking alongside some really amazing fellows, Paul Uda, Emana Akpan, my sons, Williams Uchemba, of course, Fela Drotoy, Lady Helen Eno Obaraki, and a lot of other people. Aima, a lot of fantastic people to get on with. For me, it's homecoming. I've not been home in a while, and it would be great to be in the land of our heritage and to share thoughts, meet with people that are really thinking at wavelengths, producing significant results. And of course, my very good friend and brother, bosom friend, confident brother, Onofio Luke, Right Honorable Onofio Luke, will also be speaking at the event. So it's great to for us to all meet up at home and see, and just have the conversation. Great. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to the other events across different regions that I'm engaged to be at. But whilst all that is the offing, also be reminded, like I said earlier, about the masterclass that's coming. It's going to be super amazing. The details for it, plan for it. It's not going to be more than 15,000 per person. We're going to have seating for about 250 people in that session. And then if you now want the VIP access, we're going to have a little token on top of that. That now gives you access to the mentorship and all of that. Trust me, it's something that I am excited about. We're putting a lot of work and effort into it. And it's simply just empowering you, making stronger, making sure that we can protect your margins, your businesses don't cry out. You are your first input, the first assets, the first value drop that you have to your business. And so, want to make sure that you're as strong as you ought to be. Also, want to make sure that your business is as strong as it ought to be, and it's doing what guaranteeing stakeholder satisfaction. All right. And so this will be the heart of the move that we have, the drive that we have as regards that. And I really can't wait to have it. The flyers again will be out between now and Wednesday this week. And you will be, I'm looking forward to you signing up immediately, making your payments again to be a part of it. It's a worthy investment, trust me. And I can't say it enough. It's a worthy investment that you want to make in this quarter. It's a worthy, big time investment in this quarter. Right. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We've had an amazing time. Open up the three-part series on from your here to your there, talking about growth, talking about the different variation, the variance between where you are and where you want to be, and talking about want to be versus where you ought to be. All right. We delved a bit into anchorage and adaptability and had talking points around the desire to grow, where it should emanate from, who it should be domiciled to, and what makes for the different kind of outcomes that you see when people talk about growth, or even understanding what growth looks like. So I hope that this episode has been, in many regards, a blessing, even as it has been to me. I'd like you in the comment section to share what resonates, what has resonated the most with you, and what exactly you're looking forward to seeing or hearing in the subsequent episodes next Sunday and the Sunday thereafter. So share your thoughts with me. I will be more than available, even right after this, to respond to any messages, any prompts, and we'll take it from there. I trust you've had a good time. I'll see you next Sunday on The Connect. Good night, everyone, and God bless.